We find ourselves at the beginning of a familiar end-of-cycle scenario characterized by a significant debt crisis where the dazzling gap between supply and demand emerges. The United States is ensnared in a more precarious deadlock than ever before. Americans are realizing the harsh reality that our economy is floundering, and current leadership is failing to adequately address our increasing losses. However, the situation is far more dire than many have thought. The challenges that the United States will face in the coming months are gearing up to be some of the most formidable yet, and our nation is ill-prepared for it. As the specter of economic collapse looms larger, the need to be prepared has never been more urgent. Continue to follow us as we uncover the sobering truths of America's economic decline. Before we proceed further, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like below this video, because we're investigating why the U.S. market is on the brink of collapse this year and what measures need to be taken. Currently, the U.S. is facing an unprecedented crisis under the current administration. While not coming as a shock, understanding that we are facing an economic crisis far more severe than the Great Depression remains difficult. Though seemingly incredulous, the evidence is undeniable. During the Great Depression, the average rent accounted for 18.7% of the average monthly salary, and the cost of a new home was 225% of the average annual salary. While these figures are distressing, they pale in comparison to today's economic reality. In 2021, the average rent rose to 26% of the average monthly income, and a new home astonishingly claims 788% of the average annual income. Comparative statistics underscore worsening economic conditions due to government economic policies. Moreover, in recent years, housing prices have skyrocketed. In the latter half of 2023, the average home price reached $431,000, marking one of the most exorbitant periods to date. This grim situation becomes even more pronounced when compared to the relative stability of the housing market before the 2008 economic collapse. In 2007, the average home price was at a reasonable $207,900, whereas in the midst of the crisis, this figure plummeted to $197,100 in 2008. What we are experiencing now resembles a silent depression. 2023 is already shaping up to be a distressing period for Americans. The cost of living continues to rise, with groceries, gasoline prices, and virtually every commodity becoming increasingly unaffordable. Meanwhile, our current leadership has failed to implement measures that would support domestic production. As we navigate these turbulent waters, it is imperative that we remain vigilant and proactive in safeguarding our financial interests and the economic stability of our nation. Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. There are no signs of any abatement in the current economic crisis. Banks are closing, and the ability of the average American to make ends meet is becoming increasingly difficult. Comparing prices and wages from the 1930s to today paints a bleak picture. Back then, the cost of a car was an average of $600, while the average salary was $300. Let's fast forward to today, where the average price of a new car is $48,000, and the average salary is $56,000. It's clear that our economy is in dire straits. Unfortunately for the average American, this is only the beginning. Even official news sources acknowledge the impending economic downturn in 2024. Given that we are already grappling with unprecedented economic troubles, this situation signifies many challenges for us. If 2024 brings more turbulence, our economy could reach a point of no return. While the central bank plans to significantly reduce interest rates to alleviate the crisis, this will likely only be a temporary solution against the impending disaster. Despite seeing the highest GDP growth rate in the last 2 years at 4.9% in the third quarter, this is not enough to curb the increasing unemployment rate, which currently stands worryingly at 3.7%. With discussions of further economic restrictions on the horizon, this figure is expected to rise. The historical precedent of such massive government spending dates back to the pandemic period. Rather than allowing the economy to naturally recover post-vaccination, the decision was made to keep government spending high. This has been exacerbated by the Federal Reserve's continued printing of new money, depreciating our currency and causing prices of essential goods like eggs, milk, food, and gas to rise. Efforts to mitigate these concerning developments, such as raising interest rates, have only led to continued high levels of government spending. Such levels of money supply depletion have been witnessed only once in the past 110 years, during the Great Depression of the 1930s. Understandably, such statements are causing concerns among American patriots. The outlook for the upcoming months regarding the start of 2024 looks even gloomier compared to the already worst economic years of 2023 and 2022, which have been among the bleakest since the Great Depression. The savings of the bottom 80% of income earners are significantly lower compared to pre-pandemic times, indicating the seriousness of the current situation. This is undoubtedly one of the most critical junctures America has faced in its recent history. So what measures can be taken to steer America away from these economic hardships and the struggles anticipated in the coming months? Currently, individual Americans and homeowners may see limitations in affecting significant changes in the economy. While individuals can prepare for the impending economic crisis, the collective actions necessary to prevent a prolonged collapse require systemic changes. At the core of America's current economic situation lies the issue of federal intervention in the market. Despite attempts by the Federal Reserve to prevent the current economic downturn through various measures, it has been proven ineffective as America grows increasingly economically unstable. The reluctance of the Federal Reserve and the current administration to cut spending and regulations contributing to this situation persists. These years, signaling the worst economic period since the Great Depression, are witnessing this failure becoming more pronounced with each passing day. Stock prices are falling, banks are trembling, and monetary control is increasingly centralized. Artificially manipulated interest rates by the Fed are failing to deliver the promised benefits and could exacerbate market turmoil and imbalance further. As this crisis unfolds, being prepared for an economic collapse is equally vital for American homeowners and individuals in general. One critical aspect of preparing for such an accident is awareness. You've already achieved that by acknowledging the impending threat. Looking ahead, stocking up on supplies, fortifying your home, and protecting your family against the impending economic struggle are imperative. Moreover, the transfer of assets into more stable forms becomes crucial. The instability of the depreciating US dollar, exacerbated by the Federal Reserve injecting it into the economy, underscores the importance of shifting towards more resilient assets. In addition to stocking up on staple food supplies, toiletries should also be stocked. History, especially the Great Depression, teaches us that these are among the first items to disappear during times of crisis, but remain indispensable nonetheless. The latest survey by the Conference Board revealed a worrying sentiment among executives. More than 1,200 individuals ranked economic downturn as their top concern. Alarmingly, only 37% of senior executives in the U.S. believe they are adequately prepared for the impending economic crisis. This situation should prompt concerned Americans to consider the accessibility of essential supplies in the coming months. As many executives prepare to shutter their businesses and hoard resources, grasping the gravity of this new development is imperative. The current 91% optimism index by the Conference Board starkly contrasts with the 98, the 50-year average, signaling the indicator's 24th consecutive month of decline. If you're not feeling particularly optimistic about the coming year, you're not alone. Fortunately, many Americans are aware of the urgency of the impending crisis and are taking proactive measures to mitigate its impact. While completely preventing this crisis may not be entirely feasible, next year could be the most challenging year yet. The incompetence of the current administration in steering the country's economic course is becoming increasingly apparent. While the Federal Reserve is expected to adjust interest rates next year, for many Americans, it may be too late. Indications that the likelihood of interest rates returning to zero in the foreseeable future is low signal a long road ahead. Currently, interest rates are at their highest level in 23 years, with this trend expected to continue in the coming months. It's time to prepare for America's economy to worsen further. With inflation on the rise, interest rates at their highest levels in years, and numerous statistics indicating that America is in a worse condition than during the Great Depression, the possibility of 2024 being one of the worst years in American history looms large. Thank you for watching WealthStream 101. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave us a like below this video.